After his dramatic conversion on the road to Damascus, Paul of Tarsus, once a fierce persecutor of Christians, underwent a profound transformation. He embraced his new faith with unwavering conviction, dedicating himself to understanding the teachings of Jesus. 3 years passed, a period of intense reflection and spiritual growth for Paul in the deserts of Arabia. During this time, he sought solitude to connect deeply with his newfound faith. He then made a decision that would shape the course of Christian history. He would travel to Jerusalem. This journey was not just a physical trek, but a significant spiritual quest. Paul's journey to Jerusalem was not driven by mere curiosity. It was a mission fueled by a profound sense of purpose and destiny. He felt a deep-seated need to meet the apostles, the pillars of the early church. These were the men who had walked with Jesus, and Paul sought their guidance and approval. As he himself wrote in his letter to the Galatians, "Then, after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to get acquainted with Cephas and stayed with him 15 days. I saw none of the other apostles, only James, the Lord's brother." This brief but significant encounter was pivotal for Paul. This visit was crucial for Paul to establish a connection with the original followers of Jesus. He needed their acceptance to legitimize his mission. His arrival in Jerusalem, however, was fraught with tension. The city was a hub of early Christian activity, and Paul's presence stirred mixed emotions. The memory of Saul the persecutor, as he was then known, still lingered in the minds of the disciples. They remembered the fear and suffering he had caused. They had witnessed firsthand his relentless persecution of the believers. The scars of his past actions were still fresh in their minds. Could this man, who had once sought to destroy their faith, truly have become one of them? The apostles were understandably skeptical and cautious. Paul's journey to Jerusalem was not just a physical one, but a spiritual and emotional pilgrimage. He was seeking redemption and a new beginning. He was stepping into the heart of the very community he had once terrorized, carrying the weight of his past actions. The journey was as much about seeking forgiveness as it was about forging new alliances. His goal was to seek reconciliation and unity, but the path ahead was uncertain. Paul knew that earning the trust of the apostles would be a challenging and delicate process. Paul's arrival in Jerusalem was met with a mixture of fear and suspicion. The streets buzzed with whispers and wary glances as he made his way through the ancient city. The apostles and disciples had heard rumors of his conversion, but the wounds inflicted during his persecution were still fresh. They gathered in dimly lit rooms, their faces etched with concern and doubt. The very name Saul sent shivers down their spines, conjuring up images of imprisonment, suffering, and martyrdom. His past actions were a haunting reminder of the pain they had endured. The book of Acts vividly describes their apprehension. When he came to Jerusalem, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, not believing that he really was a disciple. Their hearts were heavy with doubt. Their fear was understandable. They had endured unimaginable persecution at the hands of Saul, and the sudden change in him seemed too drastic, too unbelievable. The memories of their suffering were still raw. Their skepticism was rooted in the trauma they had experienced. The scars, both physical and emotional, were a constant reminder of the dangers they faced. How could they be sure that this was not an elaborate ruse, a cunning ploy by Saul to infiltrate and destroy their community from within? The stakes were too high to take any chances. The scars of persecution ran deep, making it difficult for them to accept his sincerity. Trust was a fragile thing, easily shattered and painstakingly rebuilt. Yet amidst the fear and skepticism, there was a glimmer of hope. Some believed that perhaps, just perhaps, Saul's transformation was genuine and that he could become a powerful ally in their mission. In the face of suspicion and fear, Barnabas, a respected figure in the early church, emerged as a pivotal figure in Paul's acceptance. His role was not just significant, but transformative for the early Christian community. Barnabas, whose name means son of encouragement, lived up to his name by vouching for Paul's sincerity. He saw beyond Paul's past and recognized the potential for a powerful ally in spreading the gospel. Acts 9:27 tells us, "But Barnabas took him and brought him to the apostles." This act of bringing Paul to the apostles was not just a simple introduction, it was a bold statement of trust and faith in Paul's conversion. Barnabas, having already encountered Paul and witnessed his transformation firsthand, became a bridge of trust between the wary apostles and the former persecutor. His first-hand experience was invaluable in convincing others. He shared his own experience of meeting Paul, assuring the apostles of his genuine conversion and his passionate commitment to spreading the gospel. Barnabas' testimony was crucial. His words carried weight and authority. He had a reputation for wisdom and discernment, and his willingness to embrace Paul helped to break down the walls of suspicion. Barnabas' actions demonstrated his deep understanding of grace and redemption. He saw in Paul a genuine zeal for Christ, a passion that could be harnessed for the good of the growing Christian community. Barnabas' support was instrumental in allowing Paul to become one of the most influential apostles.